Hi everyone. This is my overview of my vulnerability assessment of the hidden server systems. So, a quick overview of my findings. My recent vulnerability scan uncovered an alarming number of vulnerabilities on the Linux server alone. So some of these included a total of 47 vulnerabilities, with 15 categorized as high, 28 medium, and 4 low. The high-risk vulnerabilities are very concerning, with more than one rated at a CVSS score of 10.0. 10.0 indicates a critical risk to the for security breaches. So the hidden Windows server. This I was unfortunately unable to locate. I'm told it is there, but I tried a number of ways to uncover it. So the tools that I used to try and find it included an initial ping scan, with the nmap-sn command to look at live hosts, and then a full port scan with the nmap-a-p. That this detected the hidden Linux server. I was able to find the IP address and the open ports and things running on it, but not the Windows. And then with Wireshark, I looked at some network traffic. There are certain filters you can apply that just relate to Windows protocols, such as DHCP or SMB. Still no results turned up. But as to the Linux findings, some notable high severity issues include using default credentials in PostgreSQL, which allows unauthorized access. There are also multiple remote code execution vulnerabilities in distributed Ruby. These could enable attackers to execute arbitrary commands on the server. So brief overview of the solutions. I'll go into more detail later. To address these vulnerabilities, immediate action is recommended. So some of the key solutions, which I'll go into more depth on later, include changing weak credentials for services like PostgreSQL, applying necessary security patches to software such as OpenSSL and PHP. Also, implementing stricter access controls for services that are exposed to the internet. And of course, we need to do regular security audits that need to be established to ensure we have ongoing protection for these issues. Some of the tools I used during during these vulnerability discoveries, they were found using Nmap, which is a powerful open source network scanning and discovery tool. I did a full scan of all the ports on the network, which was done using the command nmap-a-p. And this gave a list of all open ports and services, and it revealed the hidden Linux server. That Windows server turns out to be a little trickier to find. Interested in hearing how some of my classmates found it, because I heard it was found by some, so interested in hearing how that happens. All right, some more of the tools that I used. So after I discovered the hidden server, next the Greenbone Security Assistant was used to specifically target the hidden server and generate a detailed report of the vulnerabilities. And the IP address of the hidden server was put into the software, and it scanned the system to identify known vulnerabilities based on the services running. So yeah, this is pretty cool. It looked at all the what services were running, what was open, what were the credentials used for these services, and was able to compare it against known problems that have existed in the past and have been identified, which is pretty cool. Doesn't protect us against things that haven't been found out yet, but we can starting with the known vulnerabilities. Um, and so let's start by going over one of the major vulnerabilities, which was PostgreSQL default credentials being used. So it was found that the PostgreSQL database was accessible using the default username and password, which are both Postgres. This is a problem because, I'm sure a lot of hackers would know this and think, hey, there's probably somebody too caught up with other things to change this. It couldn't hurt trying. So this would allow anyone to log in without proper authorization, and it has a CVSS score of 9.0. Now, to fix this, we have a few remedies. So first, obviously, we need to change the default password and update it to a strong and unique one. We also need to keep the software regularly updated. This will patch any bugs that are found out to exist on the system or on the service. And we should also enable logging to track and see any suspicious activities that happen using the service. Right. Another major vulnerability was found on distributed Ruby. So the scan detected multiple remote code execution, RCE, vulnerabilities in distributed Ruby. So these would allow unauthorized users to execute commands on the server. Definitely not good. So this has a CVSS score of 10.0. Somebody is able to just come in and from the outside put put whatever commands they want to into the system. Is a big risk, obviously. So some of these remedies to fix this is we should limit connections to just trusted IP addresses that are known already. We can configure safe or $safe to prevent unauthorized command executions. This gives like a level, a specified level of certain commands. So you can set it to level 1 or level 2 commands that are only allowed to be used. No other commands besides these can be used based on what level you set it to. So that makes sense to put in place. And we can use access control lists, or ACLs, to restrict access to just trusted hosts. So just trusted IP addresses, limit to just trusted hosts, and put a very specific list of commands that can be executed. So there's no gray area, like they can't come in and execute something else that we haven't specifically okayed. All right, so the final major vulnerability I'll go over is the Java RMI server is using an insecure and really just the default configuration that it initially comes with. So this assessment revealed that the Java RMI server has an insecure configuration that could allow remote attackers to execute arbitrary code without authentication. This is rated with a CVSS score of 7.5. So some fixes to this that should happen. We should disable class loading in the RMI configurations. And we should start using secure communications, so implementing SSL and TLS for secure connections. And we should limit the RMI registry access using firewalls that we have. And we should keep JRE updated with security patches regularly, so just to patch any known bugs that turn up and are found. Okay, so the final thing I'll cover is what the vulnerability ranking scale that is being used is exactly. So Greenbone uses the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, CVSS, to rank vulnerabilities. This is based on 3 main scores, including the base score. This score ranges from 0 to 10 and reflects how easily a vulnerability can be exploited and its potential impact on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Higher scores indicate more severe vulnerabilities. It includes a temporal score. This score accounts for factors that can change over time, such as the availability of exploit codes or fixes. It adjusts the base score based on these evolving conditions. And lastly, there's an environmental score that's taken into account. This score allows organizations to customize the CVSS score based on their specific environment, considering the importance of affected systems. So, yeah, this just makes sense based on the specific setup of the organization, how critical some of these vulnerabilities will be. So the final score categorizes vulnerabilities into levels of low severity, which is 0 to 3.9, medium severity, which is 4 to 6.9, and high, which is 7 to 8.9, and then there's critical, which is rated 9 to 10. All right, everybody, that's my presentation. Thanks for listening.